staff of Delta Broadcasting Service, I officially welcome you to today's edition, the 16th day in the month of January 2026. It's a wonderful Friday morning, and of course, obviously, I'm not alone. I've got Perpetual Igboba with me. Good morning, Perpetual.
Good morning,
How
Ogaga.
are you doing?
I'm great. I'm good.
I love your two-piece.
Thank you. You're looking good too.
Yeah, thank you. So, how was your week generally?
My week was good. It's got lots of ups and lots of downs, but above all of it, we're here. That's the most important thing, right?
Okay, ups and downs. So, one of the major things that played out across the nation during this week was the Armed Forces celebration and
Yes,
Remembrance Day. I'm very, very careful not to forget celebration and Remembrance Day, because I was listening to the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, and he said that while the fallen heroes are remembered, that we should also do what to encourage the ones that are alive. So that's why it's important to also celebrate them, because it is good that they know that they are being celebrated while they are alive than when they are dead, because honestly speaking, they won't be aware then. So it's a good one, and all of this, it took place across the nation. Even the governor of Delta State, Right Honorable Sheriff Oberworks, also he spearheaded the one here in Delta State, laying of wreaths and all of that. Then across the nation in Abuja, the vice president represented the president, because the president apparently is in Abu Dhabi for the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and all of that. But the president promised improved welfare for the military.
Very, very important, if you ask me. Very, very important. These people played the highest form, or one of the highest forms of selflessness, by going to the forefront, to ensure that we are defended. So it's only fair that those that are still alive at this point are given complete care and support and shown love. They should also be integrated into the society, seen as part of the society, not because because most of them at this point are aged, Ogaga, or elderly. Yes, so notwithstanding the fact that they are aged or elderly, they should not be pushed aside, and we should never stop saying thank you to them, because it is that selfless sacrifice that they've played, that they've shown, that is even making us to experience relative peace, in our country today. So this is us saying thank you to our amazing armed forces for showing selflessness, in defending us and fighting that war that took place how many years ago now? Yes.
Okay, the Civil War.
Yeah, the Civil War, and we're saying
1967.
in 1967. So thank you for showing that level of selflessness and going to the forefront to, defend the integrity of the country. So thank you so much. And to the government, please, let's keep doing the utmost in ensuring that those that are still alive are well taken care of and supported. Very, very pivotal.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and also not forgetting the ones that are alive. The ones that are also injured.
Yes.
They are not. We hope that they are not neglected, and the ones that go to the battlefield, they are properly motivated. And as listening to the wife of one of these fallen heroes, and she said that beyond monetary support, they need other forms of support, which I totally agree, because I think it was the governor of Imo State that declared that was giving out 600 million naira
to them.
Yes. So, but like one of the wives of the fallen heroes, she said, beyond monetary support, they need other forms of support.
Yes.
But when you look in detail, they will now begin to enumerate the kind of support they need. Maybe sometimes beyond the monetary support, because the monetary support, I don't know how often it comes, but sometimes maybe the children of these fallen heroes, they need to be on scholarship.
Yes.
They need to be catered for. Maybe if they want to, maybe they already graduates, maybe they need funds to start up something.
Or even job opportunities
yes.
for them, as long
yes,
as
they have the quota,
the
qualification and all of that. So I think that these are very good, because sometimes I'm just in my house. I remember there was a time, that was some 3-4 weeks ago, and I was just watching documentaries on YouTube on military personnel and the fight against terrorism and all of that. And it was a very, I could feel their pain.
Emotional.
Yes,
I
could feel their pain, what they go through. Sometimes they talk about being in enemy territory and their cars, their vehicle or the van. I've forgotten the military terminology, but it's not bulletproof. And they are aware of this, and they are in enemy territory.
And they've still got to brace up to,
yes,
do
for impact, because anytime, because if it were to be bulletproof, you know that if you're attacked, okay, you're shielded.
You can be there, in there.
So I'm like, and some of these persons, they are married.
They are married with children.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, you leave your beautiful, lovely wife.
Ogaga, can you ever enroll to be a military person?
You leave your
at this
dear
point,
children.
the way you're saying your beautiful wife.
No, you leave your dear children. Probably a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old that is still learning to say daddy.
Or maybe your wife is pregnant and then you leave her and go to the forefront. I think it's part of the sacrifices they signed up for.
So I don't think we sing their praises enough. So
exactly.
This is also an opportunity to commend all military personnel out there putting their lives on the line for the nation, the oneness of the nation, the security of the nation. God bless you all. And for the fallen heroes, I pray that beyond the federal government, I pray that God continues to watch over your family, sustain your family, console the widowers and the orphans out there. And we as Nigerians, beyond the federal government, private citizens as well, when you have an opportunity, if you have the means also, be benevolent.
Support them. Yeah.
It's not easy at all. It's not easy at all.
It's easy.
All right, on Morning Ride this morning, we've got for you newspaper review and also an interview. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll take our newspapers. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. It's still Friday's edition of Morning Ride here on Delta Television, and it's time now for us to bring you the different headlines across the dailies we have here for you this morning. We have This Day, Vanguard, Daily Trust, The Nation, Daily Sun, The Punch, New Telegraph, The Guardian, and a Nigerian Tribune. We'll take the headlines, and after that we'll come to our analyst to give us his in-depth analysis on some of the headlines. Quickly, we start off with This Day newspaper, and the lead here says, Tinubu will never forget those who sacrificed everything for our country. Two writers attached to that story. Salutes families, widows, children, loved ones of fallen heroes. Says their loss profound. Atiku, Obi, governors, PDP ADC, others honor the fallen heroes. Atiku's son defects to APC, vows to mobilize for Tinubu's re-election. Interesting. The writer attached to that Barra declares move major boosts to ruling party's 2027 consolidation drive. Former VP says son's decision not unusual or alarming. Okay, he has his right actually to vote for any candidate of his choice. 1966 coup, ACF, NEF, others mark 60 years of Sardauna's assassination. Edu, federal government achieved 85% capital expenditure execution in 2024, pushes global competitiveness. The writer IMF warns against policy reversal, urges Nigeria to stay the course on reforms. Inflation eases to 15.15%. And lastly, from this day, you can see the photo speak of the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, laying wreaths in honor of fallen heroes. And also you see the Senate President and Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives doing the same.
All right, moving on to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. These are the headlines. Now from the top strip, it says 2026 budget. Ministry votes over 500 million naira for makeup artists, hairdressers, and grinding machines. Rivers Assembly fails to resume amid impeachment saga. Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Tinubu, Shettima, governors, and others pay tributes to fallen heroes. Abducted doctor in Edo regains freedom after 50 million naira ransom. 152 trillion naira debt driven by forex rates adjustment and reforms. This is coming from the finance minister. Says 30 trillion naira ways and means now recognized. Insists debt driven by FX revaluation, not fresh borrowing. 2025 deficit at 3.4% of GDP shows fiscal resilience. Experts react. Still looking at the Vanguard, it says the gun hegemony. How military incursion arrested Nigeria's growth. Anyaoku, Amoka, Okpadokun, and others. Seek urgent return to plural and federal constitution. Tinubu, Sanwo-Olu, Oshoba, others feel Okpadokun. At Armed Forces Remembrance finale, okay, we see photo speaks of the Vice President flanked by some government officials and, of course, military officers. And lastly, we have the Mr. and Mrs. Kana at the Vanguard newspapers.
Next is the Daily Trust, and the major headline here, Tinubu away as nation honors fallen heroes. Photo speak of the ceremony across different parts of the nation. Nigeria's economy unstable yet. This is a statement coming from the World Bank and IMF. Our struggles after service. A write-up by War Veterans, and you can access that on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Inflation drops to 15.15% in December. Atiku's son dumps PDP for APC. ACF, NEF orders decry not a leadership decline. Federal government warns states against peace deals with bandits. I think you should go beyond warnings. And lastly, from the Daily Trust, Fourth Republic democracy of scandals, state capture and chronism.
The Nation newspaper is next with these headlines. Barau receives Atiku's son into the APC. It's his choice, says ex-vice president. ASU, Konwa hopeful on pact with federal government. autonomy is still an issue. Alaafin rejects Olubadan's chairmanship of Oba's Council. Edun, building on reform gains for better results, our goal. Cost of living pressures remain elevated, says NESG. EU removes Nigeria from terrorism financing list. It's a boost for nation's financial standing. Peace we enjoy due to vigilance and sacrifice, says Tinubu. And lastly, Anyoko Amoka conversed through federalism at Okbadokun's book presentation.
Considering headlines now from Daily Sun newspaper. I won't forget slain soldiers, coming from the President Tinubu. As Shetima Akpabio, others honor fallen heroes. Another writer attached to that story. Governor's emphasis, lessons from scars of Nigeria's history to learn from 1966 coup civil war. ADC faults Tinubu's absence at Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Okay. Court fixes March 16 for DSS to open case against 2 Ansaru commanders. Dangote Cement targets 90 million tons, splashes 15 billion naira on distributors. Alaafin absent as Makinde inaugurates Olubadan as chairman, Oyo State Council of Obas. Moving out to the top strip of the Daily Sun newspaper. The Sun Awards excite Senator Adeola Zenith Bank. And lastly, from the Daily Sun. Federal government not charging VAT on banking services. A statement coming from NRS.
Looking at the Punch newspapers this morning, it says 2027, Atiku Son joins APC, backs Tinubu's re-election. Rivers crisis, Assembly shelves seated amid rumored plot against Speaker. Alaafin kicks as Makinde installs Ladoja chairman of Oba's Council. Counter-insurgency campaigns. U.S. votes $413 million for security operations in Nigeria and others. 2026 Fiscal Act backs African Bureau as U.S. AFRICOM tracks Russia's military ambitions. And lastly, Armed Forces Day. Tinubu and governors celebrate soldiers and fallen heroes.
Considering headlines now from the New Telegraph. Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Your loss is profound. Tinubu tells families of fallen heroes. The writers honors fallen heroes, reaffirms support for armed forces. Abbas, governors salute Nigeria Air Force. As slain soldiers' widows allege neglect by federal government. PDP demands improved welfare for soldiers as ADC condemns president's absence. Obi is in 2027 presidential race for common good. Statement coming from Abdul Karim. Court strikes out defamation suits against Natasha. Impeachment. Rivers Assembly shuns resumption date. We have 2 writers attached to that story. Ijos will never abandon Fubara no matter the pressure. INC President. Rivers Governor gives automatic employment to children of fallen heroes. Launches 2026 emblem with 100 million naira. You can get details of that story on pages 2, 5, 6, and 30 of the New Telegraph. NBS, Nigeria's December 2025 inflation rises to 15.15%. Exposure to forever chemicals linked to diabetes in pregnancy. And this is according to a study. Moving on to the top strip of the New Telegraph. 2027, Kwankwaso sets fresh conditions for defection to APC. Nigeria's porous borders fueling insecurity. Statement coming from the Minister of Defense, General Musa. The rider, Chief of Army Staff seeks deeper Nigeria-US Army cooperation. Court fixes February 16 for suit seeking deregistration of ADC, AA, 3 others. Dele Momodu defects to ADC, vows to join efforts to rescue Nigeria. Tax reforms, NRS clarifies position on banks' VAT payment. And lastly, from the New Telegraph, financial crimes, EU moves Nigeria from high-risk jurisdictions list.
Okay, the Guardian newspaper is next, and it says Kano governor and deputy part ways over defection. Alleged 110.4 billion naira fraud. EFCC tenders fresh bank records against Yaya Bello and others. More banks meet recapitalization threshold as tally exceeds 20. How 300% cost spike, drug rationing turned diabetes to death threat. How 300% cost spike and drug rationing turned diabetes to death threat. Armed forces resolute against terrorism, says CDS, amid posers about Tinubu's absence. NESG projects 5.5% growth, 16% inflation in 2026, warns against policy reversals. And lastly, looking at The Guardian, it says US sanctions, foreign airlines battle drop in passenger traffic.
The Nigerian Tribune is the next daily. The lead, relief for exporters, importers, banks as Nigeria exits EU financial high-risk lists. The rider's national economy to grow by 4.7%, a statement credited to the finance minister, says country has shifted from stabilization to consolidation. Headline inflation eased to 15.50% in December 2025. Statement from the NBS. Shetima Akpabio, governors, service chiefs, orders honor fallen heroes. ADC raises concern over president's absence. Okpadokun's gun hegemony rekindles debates on federalism democracy. Exercise like medicines can ease depression symptoms. Alafi absent as Olubadan emerges chairman, Oyo Council of Obas and Chiefs. Makinde revives council 15 years after. 2026 budget, 344.8 billion naira retained for National Assembly. The rider Science, Technology, Innovation to spend 838.6 billion naira. Foreign Affairs gets 344.04 billion naira. Atiku's son, Abba dumps PDP, vows to mobilize for Tinubu's re-election. The rider, his decision to join APC is personal, and this is coming from his father, the ex-vice president. And lastly, from the Nigerian Tribune, VAT is on charges collected by banks on customers' transactions. That is coming from the NRS. Alright, we'll come back to the studio now as we are being joined by our newspaper analysts, Mr. Bonya Keze. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you.
Good morning.
Yes. So, let's start with the major story, although we might not need to dwell too much on that because Perpetua and I, right before he came on set, Perpetua and I already talked on that extensively, talking about the Armed Forces celebration and Remembrance Day. If you look at it on the New Telegraph newspaper, there's a rider that I love to take. It says, as slain soldiers' widows allege neglect by federal government. Now, one of the things that the president has promised during this Week of Armed Forces celebration and remembrance is improved welfare for the families of the victims of our fallen heroes. So now with a widow saying this, then we also saw the River State governor promising job and employment for I think children of these fallen heroes. Right. So what do you have to say about the balance, the sacrifices they've made, and their welfare and motivation for those persons still alive?
Okay. Yeah, of course, we all know who veterans are, who are the members of the Legion, the Nigerian Legion, the legionnaires of every world. So, to me, yes, on you call it Celebration and Remembrance Day. Yes. There are days of speeches, and you know, speeches are tailored to the occasion. So those are toasts and so, but they don't add to the real.
So are you saying we should not take the speeches seriously?
No. I said after the speeches, everything evaporates. What we should be talking is, what is this? And the issue of the care of veterans and the families they live in, it should not be an issue of personal benevolence. Don't worry, I will not forget you. Don't worry, I will give. There should be a standard. It should be an entitlement. So we should be saying, the benefits, the entitlements of this category of our citizens has been reviewed. This is what it used to be. This is what it is now. So that they will know what they are entitled to and what they look forward to. Would you host somebody? Would you really host somebody for a promise? Will you drag it as a debt? The promise somebody made to you. So it shouldn't be an issue of promise. That even as you are entering you work in DPS, you know what your entitlements are, even to the point of retirement. You know, even on retirement. So the issue, the terms and conditions of service for the armed forces, we should be able to be told what is included in it for the legions. You know, after service, what happened? Because we can draw experience and inspiration from what happened in other clients. They are never neglected in organized, places. So the Nigerian Legion themselves, they should not just be content with promises, because they have a voice, they have a platform to speak. I say, this is our condition. These are the gaps that to be filled, so that it will be what the things do to them should be statutory, not just mere benevolence. So that is how I see it.
Okay, so still looking at this day newspaper, another headline that caught our attention was Atiku son defecting to APC and vowing to mobilize for Tinubu's re-election. Can you speak to that?
Of course. Naturally, those are not the issues that tickles my fancy. Well, it is their personal thing, and let them do it the way they want. I don't think it's a Atiku son defecting or not defecting is a national issue that I should
going against this.
So it's an adult. I don't know the relationship between him and his father. I don't know, So I don't see the value in analyzing that.
Okay. So still looking at Vanguard, this is coming from the finance minister. It's quite long. It says 152 trillion naira debt driven by forex rates, adjustment and reforms. The rider says 30 trillion naira ways and means now recognized. Insists debt rise driven by FX revolution, not fresh borrowing. 2025 deficit at 3.4% of GDP shows fiscal resilience, and experts react. So, can you speak to that as it relates to, our standard of living, as it influences the price of cost of living, goods and services and all of that?
Good. I am currently I'm participating in a walk that is reviewing Nigeria's development trajectory from 1966. And one thing that is standing out is that we've come through the volumes of government official documents. And you say, hey, every government presented its administration in glowing lights. Wonderful analysis of economic policies, reform programs at the end. But at the end of the day, what happens? Even in the midst, when Nigeria witnessed its highest economic boom, in oil booms, more citizens were driven down the poverty ladder. More citizens. So so historically we have seen that, and anything, anybody coming to talk about policy reforms and economic agendas in Nigeria should be talking about the lived experience of the Nigerian people, the condition of living of the Nigerian people. Because it looks like, historically, it looks like our economic performances are barely on paper. They don't reflect on the life experience.
Yes, even when they say there's a drop in inflation.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think these are, and most of the time, I think it is communication. Because, and I also think it is about the civic space. The policy makers and policy drivers have this robust engagement with the Nigerian people, because it looks like what we operate is people on top of high horse and the people down arguments and tantrums. We are doing very well. You don't know what is happening. You are ignorant. No, you are not doing very well. The people are suffering. That is not how nations are run. Oh goodness. We're supposed to be saying that today, average civil servant, by legitimate earning, not looking for what to steal, focusing on your earning and working it, you can conveniently build a house for yourself within government. That government is delivering, maybe through partnership and whatever. Government is delivering housing facilities. That is basic and fundamental things of life are accessible seamlessly. That is when we know they access health facility. When they access health facility, and it's an emergency, within 20 minutes an ambulance will arrive. Emergency services. And so when you begin to see, when you are at the type of emergency, like we had a lockdown. During the lockdown, some countries of the world, they were paying their citizens allowances. They were delivering food to people, essentials to people. That is when you know that an economy is working. Not on inflation rises and FSDs and that. No. Those are not It is in the lived experience of the people.
Right.
There was a time the work research was doing, there was a time that, for example, a teacher, a primary school teacher in one of the remote villages, with his monthly salary and maybe supplemented with a small garden and the family is doing, his family will be doing wonderfully well. There will be enough nutritional supply in the family because he can afford milk, he can afford good protein, That is when you know that the economy is working.
Yes.
We made an analysis here some time ago. So look at when we're talking about the minimum wage, so look at, I showed evidence, that was last year, that you could, when you were able to buy more under 30 naira minimum wage 30,000. Than under 70,000 minimum wage. That is the real. So we should not be doing nominal economics. We should be doing real economics. That is using the hazard on the ground.
Yeah, I can recall going back when you consider my contemporaries and our parents back then, and even their parents, they were striving to get into civil service, public service,
yes,
to serve the country and because of the remuneration.
Yes.
But when you consider my contemporaries now, it's not because of the remuneration. Those persons that decide to even be in civil service for job security,
yes,
and all of that. So I totally agree with that point of view. Now let's talk about something else that also affects the economy. But now, security. Daily Trust puts it this way. Federal government warns states against peace deals with bandits. Now we recall what happened this week. Katsina saying they want to free 70 bandits in exchange for persons and a peace deal. And I'll put that story side by side with another from the Vanguard. Abducted doctor in Edo regains freedom after 50 million naira ransom.